Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello. It's Wednesday morning, so that means it's time for Ageless Blueprint. I am Dr. Taylor. I am the hormone doctor, and I am the spiritual MD. And, I've been doing this for like over a year. And when I first started this, the Ageless Blueprint was about the transformation that I kind of went through. I got over my fears. I hope you saw last week's podcast with Quasi, who kind of helped me with a transformation to say that, hey, you're not finished yet. You got things to do. You have all this experience. You need to keep going. You don't need to retire. So I was like, wow, that's what I want to teach. But here's what I found out is that I was at that point because I've been through a lot of things. Okay, I've been through ups and downs, and I was ready. But here's what I'm finding out is that the beginning of the Ageless Blueprint is you have to get your hormones and you have to get your cortisol corrected. If you don't do that, I don't think you can transform. You can't advance. You can't keep going. So that's why we wanted to talk about the cost of hormone confusion. Is that I've been doing these TikTok lives, and I see that there are people all over the world who are confused about hormones. They're asking questions on Facebook. They're coming on TikTok. People from Australia, people from the Czech Republic. All these people are confused about hormones. So I thought it was the American medical system. I thought it was, our way of medical education. But this is a global problem. So I've kind of transferred, or I kind of removed from the Ageless Blueprint because most people aren't ready for that. Most people aren't ready for the transformation. We've got to get the basics first. So we are starting ending hormone confusion. It's a hormone clarity movement. And last night on TikTok, I said, I'm going to do this by any means necessary. So it's by podcast, it's by Instagram, it's by TikTok. And I want you to stay to the end because we actually have a song. We actually have an anthem that I want you to hear. I'm really excited about it. I did it on TikTok and people liked it. And so I want you to stay to the end. You'll hear this song, and at the end, I want you to download it. I want you to share it with someone else, because a lot of times you don't hear the lectures or anything, but sometimes a song can stick in your head, and it can stick in your head for years. You can remember songs from 40 years ago when they play. So I'm using any means necessary, and stay to the end, and so you can see it. But we're going to start with the slides, because what we're going to talk about is the cost of hormone confusion. And I know this because I see patients every day, and also because me and my wife, we know the cost of hormone confusion, because when we started this, we didn't understand this any more than any other doctor, and we were confused, and it cost us. And until we got over that confusion, we couldn't advance in life. Okay, we couldn't move on because we were so stuck in this hormone disarray, and we'll talk about that. But this is what we want to, let me see. Hey, this is the last slide. I'm sorry. Let's go to the first slide. Okay, I'm going to go back. There we go. All right. This is what we want to talk about, is the real cost of hormone confusion. Okay, and again, I can tell you really thousands of patient stories, and I can tell you 2 personal stories, and we're going to get that. But there is a real cost to hormone confusion. It's a financial cost. It's an emotional cost. It's a relationship cost. There's all kinds of costs because of hormone confusion. All right. So we talk about hormones like they're just symptoms, but no one is talking about the cost. Okay. And so that's what we're going to talk about. It is really a big cost. It isn't about the symptoms. Okay. The symptoms are important. The symptoms are a signal that something is wrong, and you just need to understand the signals because your body is always talking to you, but you just have to understand what it's saying. Okay. Whenever there's a pain, whenever there's something that's not working correctly, it's trying to tell you something. All right. So it's not about the symptoms because we all know the symptoms. Somehow this time, the structure got off, but we all know the symptoms, okay? I hear it all the time when the people are checking, doing the checklist on our intake. Sometimes they mark everything, okay? They have all of these symptoms. They have anxiety, they have mood swings, they have brain fog, they have irritability. So these are all the mental and emotional problems. And then almost everybody comes in with poor sleep. They have fatigue, so they're tired, but they can't sleep. This is tired and wired syndrome that I see over and over again. And people come in for weight gain. I'll tell you that 95% of the people who come in my office are for those two types of symptoms. The mental ones, they can't sleep, they have the brain fog, the irritability. Someone last night said this anxiety has just taken me over. And she's gone to a bunch of doctors and everything. So we all know the symptoms, and everybody is looking for relief from the symptoms. And that's what I see on Facebook and Instagram. They're trying to figure out, hey, look, I have these symptoms. Hey, I have this blood work. Everybody is focused on trying to get relief from the symptoms, and that is very important. But these symptoms cause other things. Okay. See, while you've been focused on these symptoms and trying to get relief, your life is on hold. And again, I know that personally, and I know that from people coming in, people who are usually coming in because the things that they used to do easily now require a lot of effort. Okay. Taking care of your kids now requires a lot of effort. Taking care of your work responsibilities take more effort than it used to. And so you've been focused on these symptoms, trying to get relief, getting on TikTok, trying different supplements, all of this, and you have not been able to advance. Your life is on hold. And so you want to keep moving on. You've got to understand what is going on, understand those signs and those signals that your body is giving you, and immediately go and try and restore balance. Because what's happening is that something has gotten out of balance. So it starts subtly. You start to feel a little different, but you can't explain it. You sleep a little bit less. You wake up a little less refreshed. That's the start. And then you're a little less refreshed in the morning. So your husband or your spouse says something to you, doesn't quite sit right with you. Now you have a little bit of an argument. You go through the day, you're frustrated at work. So it starts subtly. You don't really notice it until the signal has to almost shout at you. All right. But if you understand this, you will anticipate it. So, like I told you about you say something, you didn't sleep well, you're a little bit irritable. And so now your relationship starts to change. So now this person who was your best friend, who was your anchor, who you could always talk to, now you irritate each other. Okay. All right. So because you are having these symptoms, here's what happens. When you don't feel good, when these little subtle changes happen, you immediately blame the person who's closest to you. Okay, whoever that is. All right. Is that if you're feeling some way around a person most of the time, your subconscious is going to say he or she is the problem, because your subconscious is always trying to look at cause and effect. It's always looking at a pattern. So it's like every time I feel like this person is around. It's that person. And so now these symptoms have put a hold on your relationship expanding, right? And hey, look, I know that reason why we wrote the book, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? Is because my wife was going through these changes and our relationship was suffering. And the only reason why we wrote that book is that a patient came in and said, do you know anything about saliva testing and progesterone? And I said, no. And I was looking for answers. I found the answer. And that is, that was the start of this whole process 25, 30 years ago, is trying to figure out how we could restore a good relationship again. Okay. And it was all due to hormones. And that's what we figured out 25 years ago. And this is the message I'm trying to get across to everyone now. Is not necessarily that person. It's just the changes that you are naturally going through, or that stress has caused these changes. All right. So tension builds up. What used to feel manageable now feels overwhelming. Small moments become flashpoints. You have misunderstandings. Closest to you don't understand what's happening, and neither do you. So that's the problem. And then I've done several podcasts on gray divorce. The amount of divorces of people who've been married for over 20 years has gone up by like 35% in the last, I think, 10 or 15 years, and is mostly initiated by women. And I really think it's due to the misunderstanding of the hormonal changes that happen in women as they mature, as they go into perimenopause and menopause. The women don't know what's happening, and the men don't know what's happening. So it causes conflict. So that's why it's so important to understand this is costing you a lot. And you need to understand this and know how to correct it, because I can tell you there's a lot of people who have come back to our office after they've gotten their hormones corrected, and they look at their spouse in a different way. And they say, hey, maybe I wouldn't have gotten divorced if I had known about this and done this, while we were having the conflict. So that's why it's so important to get this message out, because when the parents break up, it sends a ripple effect through the whole family. I don't care if your kids are small or grown. This is a big deal. I did another podcast about how that family environment shapes the future of our world, because whatever happens in that home is going to affect that child for a long time. So that's why I want you to understand this, so that you don't let this creep in and let it destroy your relationships and your family. All right. So then careers don't feel the same. You're capable, but you can't perform like before. Now, I have some, well, we'll talk about, but this happened in our life. My wife is trained in family practice and psychiatry. And so what was happening is that after we had our second child, uh, we were both in practice and we were trying to figure out our lives. And what happened is my wife started to decline. I mean, she would go to work and she'd come home all fatigued and irritated. And what she was saying is like, I'm going to see people who are anxious and depressed, and I'm anxious and depressed. And so that's when she actually took 5 years off to raise our second child, our daughter. And that's when we transformed our lives. She had to get away from the stress. I talk about how do you deal with stress? First, you have to try to remove any stressors that you could remove. And so what happened is that my wife, she said, hey, I'm going to stay home and stay and be with our kids. And so I had to change around and like, okay, now we have to live off of one salary. And so we had to make those changes. And I'm not saying you can take 5 years off or anything like that, but there's a way to correct this, because this is causing missed opportunities. Okay. So opportunities get missed or delayed. That's the hidden cost. When you can't show up your full self, the opportunities don't wait. They move on to someone else. I'm going to give you an example. I have a patient who was working at a multi-billion-dollar company. Big. If I said it, everybody would know it. But I just don't. I don't want to divulge it. But anyway, she's like in her mid-30s. She had a baby, and postpartum, the problem was she was really anxious. She couldn't sleep. She really couldn't even go to work. She had taken 6 months off of work, and then she still didn't feel like she could go back to work. So what happened is her mother is a patient of mine, and so she had a daughter come to me, and we did the saliva test. I'll show you some of those. And we saw that her cortisol was all dysregulated. Her progesterone was low. We treated her with progesterone. We treated her cortisol. This is 6 months later. Now she got a Now she's the executive vice president. She got a big promotion. And all I'm saying is that if we hadn't corrected that, I don't know if she could have advanced in her career. So I told her I want a little commission because I think she got a raise because we helped her and she agreed to that. She agreed with that. All right. So that's what I'm talking about. You can have missed opportunities. So just think about your life being on hold, opportunities being there, but you don't have the energy to pursue them. And that is a big, huge cost. All right. I will tell you personally, when I got into doing this, I started going around the country and speaking. And that's why I'm on podcast now. So I don't have to do that. But I got up one time to speak and I saw my slides, that I use all the time, and I could not comprehend what those slides were saying. I had totally wiped myself out. I was trying to practice OBGYN, and I was flying all around the country, and it wore me out. It took me 6 months to recover. And again, I did not know all of the techniques that I know now, how to get people to recover more quickly. But that taught me is that you can burn yourself out. It happens subtly first, and then all of a sudden a big crash comes and the big moment comes. And what we want to do is to try and get you better before you have that big crash. All right. So I really wanted to talk to you. So now, then what happens is your health starts to decline. You get more symptoms and more confusion. You see how this person is waiting. I had a person last night on TikTok DM me and said she had been to 7 different doctors. And now she understood that her real problem is that she was on too much estrogen and not enough progesterone. It was just that simple. She was on an estrogen patch and she wasn't on enough progesterone, and she hadn't been tested. She hadn't had a saliva test. So it cost her what? 7 appointments. Okay, 7 appointments to doctors, 7 blood draws, and she was still confused. That's why she's on TikTok. That's why she's talking to me. So how much do you think that cost her financially, cost her emotionally, cost her time? Did she take off of work to go to some of those appointments? Did she lose money there? That's what I'm talking about, you guys. It's not just about the symptoms. It's about all the things you go through trying to relieve them. And if you just understood hormones, it's not hard. Hormones are not confusing. They're just being tested wrong. That is the only problem. And that's what we're going to show you today. All right. So that's what I said, more appointments, more normal labs. Okay. So she keeps going to doctor after doctor. They keep running the exact same test. And when patients come to me and I say, look, I'm not going to repeat the same test. If I repeat it, I don't have a magic wand to make those blood tests tell you something. Okay, we have to do something different. You can't do the same thing over and over and think something different is going to happen. You can take 10,000 blood tests and they're still not going to show you what I'm going to show you, what you can see in the saliva test. It's just pure and simple. All right. So treatment stack up. Okay, you get another prescription. So another prescription means more side effects. More side effects means you're going to need another prescription. You get another supplement recommendation. I'll see people come in and they have 15 supplements and nothing works. So I'm like, why are you still here if you have all these supplements? Well, the supplements don't work because they're not targeted toward what the problem is, because you don't know what the problem is. All right. You get another specialist referral. They go to the endocrinologist, the gastroenterologist. You get sent to the psychiatrist because you keep complaining and they keep telling you there's nothing wrong with you. But there is something wrong with you, but you don't have a disease. You have a functional problem. I just had a person, ask me a question, said, oh, no, you need this test to test if you have adrenal failure. Well, that's a disease. The saliva test is a functional test. It's not a disease test. So you don't want to wait till you have the disease. It's just like you get a hemoglobin A1C so you don't get diabetes. Well, you want a saliva test so you don't get adrenal failure, so you don't get that big crash. So still no real answers. Even though you do all of that, there's still no real answers. Because see, by the time they come to me, they've done all of this. Okay. They've done all of this. And so this is what I see. These are people at the end of the road. Conventional medicine, the conventional tests have failed them, and they're looking for some type of answer. They just need some understanding what is going on with me. All right, let's go to the next one. So then here's the biggie, okay? Procedures that could have been avoided. I can't tell you how many people have said, wow, if I had have known this, I probably wouldn't have needed a hysterectomy. I probably wouldn't have needed those D&Cs because I had this irregular bleeding. Wow, I may not have needed all those biopsies. And then they sent me to the ultrasound, and then they had to do an MRI, then they had to do another biopsy. So all of these things. And then infertility. People are not really understanding how progesterone is called progesterone because it promotes gestation and how important that is, and knowing whether or not you're making enough progesterone if you're having miscarriages. See, just that information could calm down a lot of infertility worries. People who have PCO, who say they have PCOS and don't really know what that means. And so then they get procedures trying to figure out, why do they have insulin resistance? It's all due to not ovulating and not making progesterone. If you go back and you look at the root cause, it explains almost all of these. And see, people think they have 10 different problems, and that's how medicine treats it. But you don't have 10 different problems. You have probably one or two problems that's causing 10 symptoms. And you don't want to just do whack-a-mole at the symptoms. You want to find the one or two root causes, correct those, and they're not hard to correct. And now all of the 10 symptoms go away without 10 medications. So that's what we're talking about. There is a huge cost to this hormone confusion. And that's why it is a huge mission. It's a huge movement that I need everybody out there trying to end hormone confusion. So whoever's listening to this, whoever will listen to this, I want you to become a part of the movement to say, we have got to end this. It's costing us too much. This is a global problem and it needs to be solved. And I think we can solve it. All right. So, and over time, you just stop trusting yourself. You just give up. I see most people, they just have almost given up. And that's not, that's not helpful for anybody. It's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for the people who depend on you. It's not helpful for whatever business you're in. It's not. So you stop trusting yourself about all your decisions. And here's what I see: the anxiety builds up. I had one lady come in because she couldn't sleep. She thought she had a brain tumor. So when you don't get an answer, your mind always thinks of the worst possible thing. That's just how our mind is built. And I'm learning more and more about this. Is that our mind will always tell you the worst case scenario. That's the first thing it's going to tell you, because it's trying to protect you. But then that protection becomes apprehension and indecisiveness. And so now you can't make any decisions. You're so concerned about, why can't anybody understand what is going on with me? Why can't anybody help me understand? And I always say that 50% of my job is to help you to understand what is going on with you. All right. All of this while you're being told you're fine. That's the real frustrating. And this is another thing I want you to understand. The doctor is telling you something that they believe and that they can prove. And you're telling them something that you believe because you're living it. And here's the problem. The doctor is telling you that you don't have a disease. That's what that person was telling me. Hey, look, this is the test for the disease, and they're exactly right. And that's what I was taught in school, is how to diagnose a disease. I was not taught how to diagnose dysfunction. And so you have to do another test, a different type of test for that. So that's why you're being told you're fine. The doctor is not lying to you. The doctor is not trying to confuse you. According to his disease test, you don't have a disease. So the doctor keeps telling you that you're not sick, and you keep telling him, but I don't feel well. All right. So you are stuck in your belief. He's stuck in their belief, and you don't change somebody's beliefs by just arguing with them. That's another thing I've learned, is that when you attack their beliefs, they have a defense mechanism. They're protecting their ego. Both of you are. Okay. So that's where the confusion, that's where the frustration with conventional medicine is. That's why conventional medicine is frustrated with you, because they keep telling you you don't have a disease, but you won't accept it. Okay. But that's the confusion. You're not well, and they're telling you you're not sick, and both of you are right. All right. So that's the problem. So over 20 plus years, probably really 30 plus years, okay, we we have looked at thousands of saliva tests, thousands. Okay. I don't know if anybody's looked at as many saliva tests as I have. And just this week, I'll look at 20 saliva tests. Okay. So I'm going to show you what I'm telling you, I see this 98% of the time because by the time they come to me, then all of the disease, all of the diseases have been ruled out. So I don't have to worry about do they have a disease. So I do the functional test. And this is what I see almost universally. So I'm going to explain this to you right before we go to break, and then we're going to tell you how do you solve this problem. All right. So I don't know. So here's what I'm going to show you. The red line right here. Well, let's start here. The green line, the green area there. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but just let's look at the one on the top left. Okay. That green area is how your energy level should be distributed over the course of the day. So this is looking at cortisol. So cortisol is the stress hormone, but look, you have a certain amount of stress every day. Getting up, doing all you need to do during the day, that is a stress on your body, and you need cortisol, which gives you glucose, mobilizes glucose, so you have energy during the day. So you should wake up with a lot of energy, and then this is around lunchtime right here. You eat, you get a little bit more energy. This is at evening, and in the evening you eat, you go to sleep, and then you should get restorative sleep, and then should come around, and you should start all over again. All right. So with a saliva test, you collect the saliva 4 times during the day. You collect it when you first wake up, at noon, at dinner time, and right before you go to bed. And so we see how you distribute cortisol during the day. Now, this is what happens. This is what happens when you push, 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 push. So this person's cortisol is through the roof. This black line, you see all these red arrows up, is through the roof. This is some real estate agent. She works 24 hours a day, and I showed her that she's going to burn herself out. So this is how it starts. These professional people, men, women, they're pushing, pushing, and this is what I was doing. So I'm sure I was up here. So this is where you start, but then this is what happens when you have that crash. See this black line here? All right. So let's go to the middle one because you probably can't see it. So those black lines, those black dots that are being connected by the black lines, that is this person's energy output. So if you look at the middle, top middle, you see that it's way below normal. You look at the one on the right here, you see it's a disrupted curve. It's up during the evening. She's not going to be able to go to sleep or stay asleep. Let's look at the bottom left, low. This is burnout. All right. Then let's look at the middle one. Same pattern. I'm telling you, this is not rare. I see this over and over and over and over and over again. And then this is another pattern I see is the progesterone-estrogen ratio. So let me explain this. So now both of these, well, this woman right here is postmenopausal and not on estrogen. So I want you to understand, I don't care if you don't have ovaries, if you're postmenopausal, whatever, your fat tissue can make estrogen even if your ovaries stop making it. So even if you're menopausal, your fat tissue makes estrogen, and estrogen makes more fat tissue. So if you take estrogen, you're going to store fat. And if you have fat, you're going to make estrogen. All right. And I want to get that across. But if you look in the blood, they're going to tell you you have no hormones. Okay. That means you have no hormones coming from your ovaries, but you still have a backup estrogen factory. And I think women, now this is for women. I think women have been given this so that even though you're not reproductive anymore, you still have estrogen around to keep your feminine qualities. All right, so her estrogen is 0.9 and her progesterone is 54. This says everything is normal, but this is the problem. The progesterone estrogen ratio should be greater than 200. All right, so what that means is you have to multiply 0.9 by 200. That'd be 180. So her progesterone should be 180 and it's only 54. If you look in the blood, you're not going to see any of this. Okay, it's going to look like everything's low. So what we need to do is to get this progesterone up to 180. Her progesterone estrogen ratio will be greater than 200, and her anxiety will go away. Her mood swings will go away. Her irregular bleeding, if she was premenopausal, all of that goes away. And then here, her testosterone is 8.5, which is normal. You don't need testosterone for energy. This is what controls energy. I see so many women who are taking testosterone for energy, and they get acne, and they get their hair starts to thin. It's because they're taking testosterone for energy and they don't need it. If you look in the blood, you'll say the woman doesn't have any testosterone. That's normal. The testosterone should be low in the blood, but there's still some in the tissue. This is another pattern. Same thing, you guys. Low progesterone estrogen ratio. This is the only number you need to look at. If it's less than 200, you've got an estrogen, you're estrogen dominant, or we can say it as a progesterone deficiency. However you want to say it. So 1.7 times 200 is what? 340. And so that's what her progesterone needs to be. You can do it in a pellet or cream. It doesn't matter how you deliver it. The only thing that matters is this ratio correct? Is it greater than 200? That's the only thing that matters. All right, so it's time for a break. I know I put a lot of information on you, but it all boils down to that number and this curve. That is the root cause. You don't have 10 symptoms. You more than likely have 2 imbalances. And if you correct those, everything, that's how you avoid the cost of hormone confusion. All right, let's go to break.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Dr. Taylor. We are back. This is the Ageless Blueprint. I am Dr. Taylor, the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. And today we're talking about the cost, the real cost of hormone confusion. And whether you're looking at this live or you're looking at this at a later time or you're listening to this in the car, there is a real cost that you're paying. And all I'm telling you is that there is a cost in recovery. But just think of the return on investment if you will invest in your recovery and what that can do. Let me tell you, when I was down and out and off of those 6 months, there's no way I could do something like this. If my hormones were out of whack right now, then I couldn't do this because I make sure that I try and go to sleep. I try and do everything I can to keep my cortisol right and make sure my hormones are right. Okay. So that's the only way I can do this at age 65. This is a lived experience. This is not something that I've read in a book. This is a lived experience, you guys. All right. So let's go. So what is the pattern that you see? Low cortisol, low progesterone. See it all the time. Okay. And what I'm telling you is not that hard. It's just being tested wrong. Hormones are not confusing. They're not confusing. Okay. If you test correctly, it's just like, is your blood pressure confusing? No, because you know what the test is. You know what the normal values are. It's not confusing. Okay. Even diabetes, hemoglobin A1C is not that confusing. You know that's pre-diabetes. It's not confusing if you test it correctly. All right. So hormones are not confusing. They're just being tested wrong. I want you to tell somebody else that. Okay. Hormones aren't confusing. Go to a Facebook group. If you're a part of a Facebook group, I want you to go in there and say, hey, look, you guys, hormones aren't confusing. They're just being tested wrong. All right. That's our our mantra, okay? It's nothing to be confused about. Just do the right test and you'll see these patterns just like I see them. All right. This is not random. This is predictable physiology. All right. It's predictable. Okay. If you go in and get your blood pressure drawn, it's predictable. They're going to put a blood pressure cuff on your arm. It's predictable. If you think you have a fever, what's going to happen? It's predictable. They're going to put a thermometer in your mouth. Okay, so I want it to be predictable. If you go into a doctor's office and you say, I think I have a hormone problem, they're going to say, okay, you need a saliva test. And I need you to go in and say, hey, look, aren't you going to do a saliva test? Because that's how we teach the doctors. The only reason why I'm doing this is because a patient came in and asked me a question and I started to investigate it. So go in and ask the doctor, hey, have you heard about saliva testing? That's what the patient told me. All right. And then I'm going to give you some tools that you can share with anybody because this is a movement. This is a mission. I need ground roots efforts. Okay. It's just like, when you're running for office, you need boots on the ground, going knocking door to door. I want to give you the tools that you can help spread this message. All right. So hormones aren't confusing. They're just tested wrong. The real problem is that blood test measures what is circulating, not what is activating the cell. So just think about you drive to work. You can't do any work while you're driving around, and you're not supposed to. Okay, you're not supposed to be texting or whatever. All right. So, but you can't really do your work until you get to your office or till you sit down at your computer or whatever. So think of hormones like that. When they're in the bloodstream, they're just circling around, seeing where they should land. Then they land, then they stimulate the breast or the uterus or your ovaries. That's what happens. All right. So hormone action happens in the tissue level. If you only measure circulation, you miss what the body is actually doing. It's just that simple, you guys. Okay. If you just remember that hormones aren't confusing, they're just tested wrong. The blood test measures what's circulating. The saliva measures what got off of the highway and got into work and start doing work into your cell. Is that Rebel? Is that simple or is that not simple or is it simple?
Well,
I,
it is simple, but it just takes people having to hear it and understand it.
I know. I know. And so that's why I keep saying it over and over again. I used to make the mistake that if I said something once, like everybody in the world heard it. Okay. I'm like, "Oh, I can't say that again. I just said it last week." Now I understand you got to say things over and over and over again because it takes time for people to unlearn. I'd say it's twice as hard to unlearn as it is to learn. That's why it's so hard for doctors because they have learned in such a narrow range of thinking. All right. So treating symptoms without understanding the root cause is like mopping the floor while the tap is still running. Exactly. Okay. Is that you have got to fix that problem because people will have hysterectomies and I tell them that you still got a hormone problem. Okay. Because you still, whether they took out your ovaries or anything, you still have a hormone problem because remember your fat tissue can make estrogen, but you don't have a secondary progesterone making factory because the only way you make progesterone is by ovulation. You have to make an egg. All right. So you've got to be able to understand this so that you can make the right decisions. All right. So I told you I want to do this by any means necessary. And I told you I wanted you to wait till the end because you know how you can remember a song, the lyric from 40 years ago, somebody plays a song, it's like, oh, it was just, I forgot what it was, but it was some song. And I'm like, wow, I still remember those lyrics because the music kind of prompts you. Well, when I was talking about hormone confusion, I was like, wow, that sounds like Ball of Confusion by the Temptations. So, hey, look, I told you I stopped flying around and I started to learn how to use social media and AI. So I came up with some lyrics and I asked AI, can we make a song, an original song out of this? And it did. So I want you to hear it. I hope the sound comes through. I'm supposed to click it there. No. Hey, look, it's supposed to be embedded in that slide. Can you play it? If not, I can get it because it should be embedded in the slide. Is it able to play? Or do you have it
It's
there?
not it's not playing right now. I'll have to pull it up.
Okay. I had it where you can just click the slide. If not, I can get it.
You would have to click the slide on your end because it's in your computer.
See, when I click it, it just moves forward. So let me find it. I was worried about that. Let me get it. If I share my screen, will it come up?
You're already sharing your screen because I could see the slides. I'm not exactly sure why it's not playing from the slide. Unless
Let me see if I can. No. Oh man, I really
while
want you
Dr.
guys to hear.
Taylor does that, I
Uh-huh.
want you guys
Oh,
to
yeah.
remind
Do some questions. Yeah.
want to remind everybody that y'all are welcome to ask questions, and we have a few. We have
Okay, good.
one person wanted to know, do you have to wait until you have exhausted all the other doctors before they come to see you for a saliva test?
No, not at all. No, no, you don't have to do that. No. No, you can come see me before. Can you hear that?
I cannot.
How can we do this? I sent you the song. Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I know. I'm working on pulling it up.
Okay,
Um,
great. All right. Well, look. Hey, so while you're doing that, if I know you're going to do it, then that's fine. So here's what I want you to do. So if click on that allmylinks.com. If you like this song, if you want to know more, no, you don't have to wait until you've exhausted all the docs. Okay. Uh, Our office is taylormedicalgroup.net. All of that is in all my links. I would love for you to join my school group. That's in my links. Follow me on Instagram. Right after I finish this, I'm going to be on TikTok Live at 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. I'm on TikTok Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm on at 11 o'clock Wednesday Eastern Daylight Time, and I'm on Saturdays at 8 o'clock. We moved it to 8 o'clock since it's Eastern Daylight Time, so that the people are more likely to be in their home. So if we don't get this song up, hey, DM me and I'm going to send you it. I'm going to send it out to everybody. I really love this song. I hope you like it. On TikTok, they really liked it. So it tries to explain what I'm explaining in song. That was my goal, because a lot of times, you know, you don't hear something, but then if it's played to music, it helps you to remember it. And I want you to hear the hook, which is, hormone confusion is not an illusion. Okay. It's not an illusion. Okay. And it's causing so much confusion, but it's really is something that you can understand. It's not that hard. How are we going? How are we coming, Rebel?
is this a copywritten song? Because we can only play a part of it if.
No, it's an original song. It's no, it's an original. I put it in a thing that it's no. So it's no copyrights. I'm trying to figure. I'm copywriting it now.
Okay, so you.
So yeah, it's not a
Oh,
copywritten
okay.
song.
Just
Hmm.
making sure that
Yeah.
we can play it. It is pulling up as we.
Okay.
So let's
So
go
no,
to the next question.
okay. Yeah, please.
People, they had a question about, can you refuse blood tests if a doctor is wanting to do it? Can you refuse a doctor's
Oh yeah. So
request for
hey,
blood
look.
tests?
Now look. Let me tell you. Not all blood tests are bad. You just can't look for fat soluble hormones in the blood. You can look for thyroid, you look for your potassium, all of that stuff. Just say, if you go in and you say that they think you have a hormone problem, you tell them, say, no, that's okay. I don't want to pay for those labs, because they're not going to tell you anything. That's why they keep coming back normal. So you don't want to pay for something you already know is not the proper test. So that's what I'm trying to get across. But I'm not telling you all blood tests are bad. You just can't look for hormones in blood tests. That's what I'm trying to get across. All right. So, but you can tell them, hey, I don't want to spend an extra $400 looking for my estrogen and progesterone, because I know what you're going to tell me. If you're premenopausal, they're going to tell you everything's fine. If you're postmenopausal, they're going to tell you that you don't have any hormones. And then they always put you on estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And most of the time, you only just need progesterone, and they need to look at your cortisol. That's all you have to remember. What is my estrogen progesterone ratio, and what does my cortisol curve look like? And you can do that. So most doctors aren't going to be able to, they're not going to know that. So get in touch with me. You can get in touch in all of my social media links, at my agelessblueprint.com website. Just get in touch with me and I'll show you how you can get this done. If you want to work with me more closely, I'm actually having like a special group of people that we take through a 6-month just reinvention type process. So I'm building that because this is something that I really want. I want it to live beyond me. Okay. So are we up yet? Because it's going to take like 3 minutes to do this song.
No, it's not cooperating very well. Technology is not being my friend today.
Boy. Man,
but we still got
man.
time. If hopefully we can get it in there before the end of the show. We
Let
have
me
another
see if I
question.
can-
Ooh, oh, there we go.
Okay, go ahead. What'd you say?
Technology's asking me if it will let me allow it to do it. It's like a hidden test.
Let me see. if I-
Technology, it gives a
Let me see if
fight.
I can
I'm
do
telling
this.
you.
Let me see if he'll play this. Hey, well, look, here's what I'm going to do. If this doesn't work, we can put the link in the podcast or in the video. And then next week, I'll show it to you. Or, hey, email. Here we go. Do you hear it?
Okay.
Do you hear it?
Yes, I do.
Woke up 3 a.m. Heat soaked right through that internal fire. Ain't nothing new. 1 minute calm, next I'm
So we hear it, right?
Yes, it's playing.
This hormone roller coaster takes and it calls. Doc says it's natural, this shift, this change. But feeling like a stranger feels so strange. Cortisol rising, progesterone's low. Estrogen loud, now the symptoms show. Hormone confusion, now I see the pattern. Progesterone low, that's what really happened. Hot flash rising, sleep all gone. Now I finally know what's going on. Hormone confusion, no illusion. My body talking, this is the solution. Not just aging, not just stress. Now I understand and I feel my best. Forgot my keys again. Lost my train of thought. This mental fog, a battle hard fought. They say just relax, like it's easy to do when your own chemistry's working on you. But listen up close, there's a truth they miss. Blood test normal, don't mean nothing's amiss. Patterns matter more than numbers show. Your body's been talking, now you finally know. Weight shifting slowly around your waist. Energy gone, moving at a different pace. Mood swings hidden, patience thin. But this ain't the end, it's where you begin. They check your lab, say you're fine again, but they never looked at the pattern within. Saliva tells what blood can't see. Now you're stepping into clarity. This ain't random, this is design. Your body's rhythm got out of line. Restore the balance, reset the flow. Now you're learning what you didn't know. No more confusion, now there's a solution. Understanding your body is the revolution. Balance restored, clarity found. Now you're steady back on the ground. No more confusion, power reclaimed. You learn the system, you change the game. This ain't aging, this is truth. Your body was always talking to you.
Okay, you can cut it. All right. What do you think, Rebel?
Wow. Okay, so I was moving to that song. I
know.
feel that that would be a good work, the warm up to the workout song,
Yeah,
because
I
you
know.
can
And
really get
it's teaching,
grooving.
and it's teaching you something. Okay. And then at the end, it's like, hey, there's no more confusion. I finally understand what my body's been trying to tell me. So I'm glad you like it. I hope you guys like it. Hey, get all of my links, message me. Hey, I want to be at the Grammys, you guys. Okay. I want this to be a bestseller because hey, and look, I actually have different versions of it with different genres of music. So whatever you like, I can make it in there. This is the wonder of AI. And so, Rebel, hey, I wanted to get that. That was the main reason why I did this doggone podcast, is so that you could listen to that. So I'm going to try and distribute it. I have people breaking it up and having, like, the chorus, hormone confusion is not an illusion, and it's clarity. So I'm really excited about it because I believe it's a way in 3 minutes to get across what I've been talking about for the last 50 minutes. It all is in that song. So great. All right, Rebel, I got to finish. Hey, I'm going to have this link. I'm going to give you this link, Rebel, and you can, put it at the end of the podcast so that they can click the link. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, great. See you guys next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.